Let's be real. James Bond didn't start as a complex man. He started as a fantasy, womanizing, martini-swilling MI6 agent who somehow never got dirty in a gunfight or emotionally wrecked after killing someone. But over 6 decades and 7 actors, something weird happened. Bond grew up. Yep, 007 got therapy. Sort of. So grab your shaken not stirred and let's walk through the evolution of the world's most famous spy and how he went from a charming sociopath to a broken man who finally felt something. Welcome to Real Talk, where we spill the tea on movies and all the madness in between, with wit, sass, and zero sugarcoating. In the beginning, we had Sean Connery, the blueprint. Suave, lethal, unbothered. Let's rewind to 1962, Dr. No. And just like that, the world meets James Bond, played by the smooth-talking, dangerously charming Sean Connery. He walks into a casino, lights a cigarette, raises an eyebrow, and says it. Bond, James Bond. Instant icon, instant sex symbol, instant blueprint for 5 decades of spy cinema. Connery's Bond was sleek, lethal, unapologetically suave. He didn't just kill with precision, he flirted while doing it. He could take down international villains before breakfast, charm a femme fatale by lunch, and somehow make casual misogyny sound classy by dinner. Yikes, but also, it was the 60s. He was the epitome of Cold War masculinity, tailored suits, license to kill, zero emotional baggage. The original Bond wasn't here to feel things. He was here to conquer women, win card games, and shoot people with ice-cold detachment. He slapped women, literally, never apologized, and somehow called it foreplay. Charming? No. Classic Bond? Unfortunately, yes. Bond didn't ask for consent either. Yeah, we noticed. And yet, the audience swooned. Sean Connery's Bond films, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and Diamonds Are Forever, established the formula. Exotic locations, sexy gadgets, even sexier women, and villains with personal layers. He was cool under pressure and colder in relationships. Emotional complexity, zero, swagger, breaking the damn meter. But here's the thing. Connery wasn't just Bond. He defined Bond. That Scottish accent, that razor-sharp delivery, that ridiculous confidence. He wasn't trying to be relatable, he was aspirational. Every man wanted to be him. Every woman was either seduced or sidelined. Still, there were cracks under the tailored surface. Connery himself grew tired of the role. He hated the lack of depth, hated the attention, hated the fact that people thought he was Bond. And maybe that's a clue for where the franchise would eventually go. After Sean Connery put down the Martini for the first time, the Bond baton got fumbled hard. First up, David Niven, the technically OG but totally unofficial Bond from the 1967 satirical fever dream called Casino Royale. Now, this wasn't the cool, gritty Casino Royale we'd eventually get with Daniel Craig. Oh no. This was a psychedelic fever dream pretending to be a spy film. Niven's Bond was old, cranky, and frankly more suited to sipping tea in a cardigan than dodging bullets in a speedboat. It was a comedy, it was a parody, and it bombed. Because no one wanted James Bond as a retired grandpa dodging phone calls and women. Sorry, Sir David. Wrong vibe, wrong era. Then came George Lazenby in 1969's On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Now here's the twist. The movie? Kinda great. Lazenby? Not bad, honestly. He brought a little vulnerability, a little heart. Bond actually fell in love. Married, even. Spoiler, it doesn't end well. Cue the tragic violins. But Lazenby? Rookie mistake. He was a model, not an actor, and off camera? Let's just say the ego came in shaken and stirred. He clashed with producers, hated the fame, and, get this, quit after one movie. One. He truly believed Bond was a man of the past and wouldn't survive the 70s. Spoiler, Bond did just fine. Lazenby, not so much. So why are these two barely remembered? Because Bond isn't just a tux and a pistol, it's presence, it's charisma. It's making you believe this man can seduce, kill, and smirk his way through international espionage. Niven was too old. Lazenby was too green. Neither had that magnetic danger Connery oozed like cologne. But credit where it's due. on Her Majesty's Secret Service gave Bond something new: feelings, loss, actual consequences. That planted the seed, one that wouldn't fully bloom until decades later. But first, we had to take a wild eyebrow-raising detour. Roger Moore entered the Bond chat in 1973 and stayed longer than your uncle telling war stories. 7 films. If Connery was danger and swagger, Moore was charm and camp. He made Bond less assassin, more cheeky uncle with a license to pun. This was peak Bond goes big. Safari suits, speedboats doing barrel rolls, laser battles in space. One film even had voodoo, another had gritty Cold War spies, and one gave us Bond snowboarding to the Beach Boys. Not joking. Moore's Bond could defuse a bomb and flirt with a villainess while skiing backward down a mountain. That was his brand: smooth, smirky, and impossible to kill or cancel. But let's be real. While Moore's Bond was fun, he often felt like a cartoon character with a martini. And by A View to a Kill in 1985, Moore was 57. He looked like he should be mentoring Bond, not playing him. When your Bond looks older than the villain's dad, it's time to pass the Walther PPK. Enter Timothy Dalton, the Bond equivalent of a cold shower in 1987. Dalton was done with the camp. He was like, what if Bond actually had a soul? Radical idea. His 2 films, The Living Daylights and License to Kill, gave us a grittier, emotionally bruised 007. Less quips, more internal crisis. He wasn't betting a girl every 10 minutes. He was brooding, angry, slightly unhinged. Critics today love Dalton's take, but at the time, audiences were confused. They wanted gadgets and seduction, not feelings. So despite laying the groundwork for what Daniel Craig would later perfect, Dalton's Bond got ghosted after just 2 films. So Moore gave us Bond the entertainer, fun, flirty, and forever winking at the camera. Dalton gave us Bond the human, flawed, haunted, and finally acting like someone who actually kills people for a living. By the time Pierce Brosnan showed up in 1995's GoldenEye, Bond had been MIA for 6 years. The Cold War ended, the world changed, and honestly, 007 was starting to look like a relic in a tux. Enter Brosnan, slick, lethal, charming, and way too handsome to trust. He was the perfect millennial-era reboot, a Bond who could smirk and snipe, seduce and surf a tidal wave made of CGI. Yes, that happened. We're still healing. Brosnan's Bond was a blend: the steel of Connery, the wit of Moore, and just a hint of Dalton's suppressed trauma. Basically, a focus group-approved cocktail of every Bond before him. Shaken, not stirred, of course. Let's be honest. GoldenEye slapped. The opening bungee jump? Iconic. The villain with the face scar and the woman who literally kills men during sex? Peak Bond chaos. And Judi Dench as M calling Bond a sexist, misogynist dinosaur? Chef's kiss. She read him for filth and still gave him the mission. That's power. But as the Brosnan era went on, the movies got louder, bigger, dumber. Die Another Day had an invisible car. Even the Martini couldn't cover that nonsense. By 2002, Bond wasn't sexy dangerous. He was an over-processed video game cutscene with cheekbones. And Brosnan? Tired of smiling through the tech overload and increasingly cartoonish villains. So the franchise did something radical. They rebooted Bond as if he had never existed. By the time Daniel Craig steps in, bam! The suit's still tailored, the martinis still flow, but the emotional baggage? Wheeled in heavy. Gone is the one-liner, girl-a-minute fantasy Uncle Bond. Craig's 007 bleeds. He mourns. He questions the whole damn job. Casino Royale gave us something we didn't expect. A Bond who falls hard. Ava Green's Vesper Lynd wasn't just a fling. She was the heartbreak that shaped everything after. And Craig played it like a man permanently cracked open. Each of Craig's films unpacks more trauma. In Skyfall, we see him broken, aging, and abandoned by M. In Spectre, the ghosts of the franchise show up, and in No Time to Die, Bond literally sacrifices himself. Yep. Our once immortal womanizer dies a tragic hero. Like, what? Since when did Bond get a redemption arc? Craig's Bond isn't suave because he's cool. He's suave to cover the chaos. It's performance, survival, a job that devours him from the inside out. And audiences finally felt the cost of being 007. No more gadgets as plot armor, No more girls as interchangeable names. Craig's Bond grew up, and so did we. Oh, and for those wondering why Bond insists on his martini shaken, not stirred, well, I'm no cocktail chemist, but the experts say he's got it wrong. Stirring keeps it cold and silky. Shaking messes with the flavor, bruises the gin. Something about temperature, dilution, whatever. Don't ask me. I stopped listening after martini number 3. But Bond, he likes it shaken because chaos is his default. That martini, that's him in a glass. Jostled, sharp, never really settled. So yeah, Bond's been getting his martini wrong this whole time, just like he's been getting women wrong for decades. But guess what? Ian Fleming liked it shaken, so his Bond liked it shaken. And honestly, that explains everything. Bond's evolution is basically Western masculinity's slow crash course in empathy. Still flawed, still violent, but by Craig's era, at least he knows he's broken. So who's the best Bond? Honestly, that depends on your trauma. But the real glow-up isn't about who played him. It's how the role grew. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more Real Talk, where we pull the curtain back on Hollywood's history.